Alright, how is everybody doing today? Back again with another video for you guys and gals. And today, what I have for everyone is my versus/comparison video between the Google Pixel XL and the Xiaomi A2 Lite. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to compare and contrast some of the similarities and the differences, and then at the end of the video I'm going to give you guys and gals an overall recommendation or two as to which device you should go with. So without further ado, let's jump into this video. Now, starting off, the first thing I want to talk about with you guys and gals is the overall build quality and design on both devices. Now, both of these devices are extremely similar when we talk about the overall build quality and design. They're both made out of glass and metal constructions, so we have a metal unibody on both, but we do have a glass top portion on the Google Pixel XL. Other than that, we have a completely metal body with that glass portion. We have a completely metal unibody here, and then we have our displays up front, which is made out of glass. All right, but that being said, talking about the overall build quality on both of these, the build quality on both of these is top notch. There's no rattling or creaking of any kind on either of these devices. All of the buttons are very tactile and clicky and give you a nice reassuring feedback. So the overall build quality on these is really, really good. And if I had to choose, I'd have to call it a tie. Both Xiaomi and HTC did a great job when they constructed these devices. So the overall build quality and design is top notch. The next thing I want to talk about with you guys and gals is the overall displays on these. Now, this is where you guys and gals are going to see our first major difference with these devices. Now, on the Xiaomi device, we have a 5.8-inch display in the 19:9 aspect ratio. So that means we have a notch on our Xiaomi device here. So if I go over to my Google feed, it's definitely more apparent there. But we have a 2160 by 1080p 19:9 aspect ratio display up front here, and it has a screen density of 432 pixels per inch. All right, whereas over here on the Google Pixel XL, we have our more traditional 16:9 aspect ratio display. This is a 5.5-inch quad HD display or 2K display with a resolution of 2560 by 1440p. So that means that this bad boy has a screen density of 534 pixels per inch. So that's the major difference between these displays. Now, talking about both of these displays in regards to the day-to-day usage, I have to say either of these displays are top-notch. Whether I was using them indoors or outdoors, I had no issues with the display. They get really, really bright outdoors, and they get really, really dim indoors. Now, typically, I have to keep both of these between anywhere from about 50 to 80% when I go outdoors, and anywhere from about 30 to 50% when I'm indoors. Other than that, in terms of the overall daily performance between these two displays are really, really good, and I haven't had any issues. So once again, if I had to choose, this right here comes down more to personal preference. Maybe you like the more elongated display, which means you could fit more on the display with your 19:9 aspect ratio here, or maybe you're not a big fan of that notch cutout and you like the more traditional 16:9 display. Excuse me. That comes down more to personal preference. But at least in my opinion, I'm gonna have to call these two displays a tie. Ooh, throat scratching me today. Sorry about that, y'all. Now, moving on. The next thing I want to excuse me. Let me go get something to drink. I'll be right back. Sorry about that, y'all. Scratchy throat. Nobody liked that. Got my drink. We good to go. Now, in terms of the displays, both of these displays are top notch, and this is where it comes down to personal preference. But at least in my opinion, I'm going to have to call it a tie in the display category. All right. Now, that being said, let's talk a little bit more about the hardware and the software between these two devices. Let's start off with the hardware. Now, in terms of the hardware, when we talk about the Google Pixel XL, this bad boy is available in two different configurations. You have your 4 gigs of RAM and your 32 gigs of onboard storage variant. Either configuration that you get the Google Pixel XL in, it does not have micro SD card expansion. So you got 4 gigs of RAM, 32 gigs of onboard storage, or you have 4 gigs of RAM and 128 gigs of onboard storage. This particular model you guys and gals see in the video today is the 432 variant of the device. Now, the A2 Lite also has 4 gigs of RAM, but it ups the storage in this particular model to 64 gigs of onboard storage. Now, the A2 Lite comes in 3 different variations. You have a 432, you have a 332, or you have a 464. This particular model y'all see in the video is the 464 variant. Now, diving more into hardware, the Google Pixel XL has a 12 megapixel camera on the rear, alright, okay, and that camera is capable of recording 2K videos at 30 frames per second, so 4K, 2K videos at 30 frames per second, 120 frames per second, 720p slow motion, and 240 frames per second, 720p slow motion with the 12 megapixel rear facing camera on the back. Up front for the Google Pixel XL, we have an 8 megapixel sensor on the top, and that bad boy maxes out at a recording resolution of 1080p at 30 frames per second. Alright, that's it on the front. Then we have our 5.5-inch display, so on and so forth. We got our fingerprint sensor on the rear, and I gotta tell you guys, the fingerprint sensor on either of these devices is really fast. No issues with the fingerprint sensor. Now, internally on the Google Pixel XL, we are running the Snapdragon 821 quad-core processor and the Adreno 530 GPU. So what does that mean? We got old school flagship specs here. All right, and other internals, the Google Pixel XL is packing a 3,450 milliamp hour battery on the inside. All right, then we have one bottom firing speaker, which is down here. This is a microphone and USB Type-C with fast charging. Okay, all right, so that pretty much does it for the hardware on the Google Pixel XL. Alright, now jumping over to the A2 Lite, you're going to hear some similarities with some big differences. Again, this is the 4 gig, 64 gig variant of this device. This bad boy does come with micro SD card expansion, and in particular, it comes with dual SIM expansion as well. So as y'all can see, I am running this with 2 SIM cards. I have my T-Mobile and my AT&T SIM card in here, and I still have my separate dedicated micro SD card expansion, which I can make adaptable storage inside the settings on this device. So in particular, I think you can max the storage out on this guy with the micro SD card up to 128 gigabytes. All right, so really good stuff there. On the rear of the A2 Lite, we have a 12 and 5 megapixel dual camera setup, and the 5 megapixel sensor is a depth sensor. You're capable of recording 4K videos or 2K videos with the rear facing 12 megapixel camera of the A2 Lite at 30 frames per second, and you can do 120 frames per second slow motion as well with the rear facing camera. Once again, we have a rear-mounted fingerprint sensor, which is really fast. And again, I had no issues with the fingerprint sensor on this device. Flipping it over to the front here, we have a 5.8-inch 19:9 aspect ratio display, as I've said, and we have a 5 megapixel camera up front here, which maxes out at 1080p 30 frames per second video recording. All right, More internals. This bad boy is packing a 4,000 milliamp hour battery inside. Again, we have one bottom firing speaker and one microphone. Speakers over here, microphones over there. This bad boy does take a downgrade in charging technology because we are using the micro USB charging technology on the A2 Lite. All right. Other internals include this bad boy is running a Snapdragon 625 octa-core processor and an Adreno 506 GPU. All right, I believe that pretty much does it for the hardware. Now, one thing I forgot to point out is that both of these devices are packing your headphone jack. So you have it in the top right on your A2 Lite, and the A2 Lite also has an IR blaster, so you can control IR equipment, air conditioners, TVs, so on and so forth. So really, really nice touch. I'm glad I caught it because I almost didn't mention it. But yeah, you do have headphone jacks on both of these devices. Top right on your A2 Lite, top left on your Google Pixel XL. So really, really good stuff. And I believe that that does it for the hardware on both of these devices. Now, let's talk about the software on both of these devices. And this is a pretty much stock for stock experience with a few different key hardware and software features. Now, the A2 Lite is running Android 9.0 Pie on the Android One program, so that means you're going to get 2 updates, 2 years of OS updates, and 3 years of security patches. And right now, as of the recording of this video, let me just show you real quickly here. The A2 Lite is running on the latest version of Android, but it's 1 month behind. So we're running on the March or February 5th security patch, as y'all can see right there. Whereas the Google Pixel XL is again running a stock version of Android, but it's running on the latest version of Android with the March 5th security patch. So let me just show you right here. Jump into System, jump into Advanced, go to Software Updates, and you can see it right here. We're running the March 5th security patch on the Google Pixel XL. Now, in terms of the software, this is a pretty much similar experience, but in terms of OS updates, the Google Pixel XL has reached the end of its OS update life cycle. So you'll only get security patches if you choose to pick up a Google Pixel XL moving forward from the recording of this video. But it's really nice to see that Google is still keeping it updated in regards to the overall security patches. And at the end of the day, the security is what really matters when it comes to the software on your device. But other than that, we have a very similar experience. So both of these devices have your face unlock. So you can see it here. They both have face unlock. They both have really fast fingerprint sensors. They both give you the ability to do the gesture pull down with your fingerprint sensor there. All right. And they both give you the ability to use your one-handed nav as well. All you have to do is jump into the settings and go to gestures, and you can see the one-handed home button swipe gesture control is right there. They both give you the ability to do that. They both give you the ability to quickly silence your device by pushing that button combination. And again, you can configure that to do whatever you would like. So you can put your phone on vibrate, you could put your phone on mute, so on and so forth. Now, those are the only 3 options as of this time, but it's really, really nice that they have that feature baked in here. They both give you the ability to quickly jump to the camera by double pressing the power button from any state on the device. Any screen, any state, so it could be powered off. You could be doing anything on your device, and you can quickly jump into the camera. All right? So really, really good stuff there. Now, it needs me to authenticate before we can go in. And we got a little crash there, but it pretty much works from any state, and that works on either device. So same things apply on either of these devices. So let me just show you for verification purposes. same thing. Jump into gestures. We got our camera gesture. We got our notification shade gesture. We got our one button nav gesture there. Now, where the Google Pixel XL differs, now we still have our face unlock. So let me show you. Right here. Did it too quick. Still have our face unlock and all of that. But where the Google Pixel XL differs is we have our double tap to wake the display. Alright, so we can double tap it twice and wake the display. And we have our ambient gestures, okay? Just like that. And we also have some quick shortcuts when we launch into the camera. So we still have the quick double press of the power button to get into the camera, but we have the quick twist of the wrist to switch between the front and the rear facing cameras. So that's the differences in software between these two devices. They both have ambient display, so when you get a notification, your device will light up and you can act on your notifications. They both do that. So that's the differences in software. Other than that, in terms of the software, these are pretty much the same software experience. Now, with the only difference being because the Pixel is a stock Google device, you will still get your software updates faster going with the Pixel, at least when we talk about security patches. And as you can see, the A2 Lite is still 1 month behind, even though it's an Android One device. So it is what it is. But that overall goes over the software, and that also goes over the hardware. That being said, who wins what in which category? Now, in terms of the hardware, I'm going to have to give the edge to the A2 Lite. In my opinion, I really like the addition of the micro SD card slot and the dual SIM card slots and the IR blaster. And the bigger battery means you get a little bit better battery life, but we're going to talk about that a little bit later. Okay? Now, that doesn't mean that the hardware on the Google Pixel XL is bad. You still have really great cameras, a really good display, all that good stuff. But at least for me, the additions that Xiaomi chose to go with on the A2 Lite is what gives it the edge in hardware in my experience. Now, in terms of the software, I'm going to have to give that to the Google Pixel. Some of these features that they threw in, especially the double tap to wake, is really good. And that gesture inside the camera to quickly switch between the two is really good as well. So I have to give the edge in software to the Google Pixel. And the overall fluidity between these two devices in terms of day-to-day performance, when we talk about the software, I'm going to have to give that to the Google Pixel as well. It's noticeably snappier than the A2 Lite. Now, both of these are configured the same in regards to the software performance. But I did notice a noticeable difference in snappiness between the two. Now, it's not noticeable in daily performance, but because I am such a heavy user and I load up a lot of apps, I did notice it using these two devices side by side for the month that I have been. But other than that, the overall software experience is really good, and it still suffers from the occasional Android hiccup and slowdown with a ton of apps open in the background. So that's similar on both. Alright, so hardware going to the A2 Lite, software going to the Google Pixel XL. Alright, moving on. Next thing I want to talk about now with you guys and gals is the overall Wi-Fi performance between these two devices. Now, in terms of the Wi-Fi performance, both of these devices are pretty much the same. They both have support for 802.11 BGNN and AC Wi-Fi, which means they both have support for dual band Wi-Fi, so you could take advantage of your 2.4 gigahertz and your 5 gigahertz band Wi-Fi, as long as you have a router and or modem that lets you take advantage of that. So at least in terms of the Wi-Fi, these are pretty much a tie in my experience and in my opinion. That being said, let's go ahead and give y'all a Wi-Fi demonstration, which will also double as a speaker test as well. So give me a second. Let me get out one of my phone stands here because I don't want to hold this up for you guys. Hands get tired quick. Sorry, y'all. So both of these, I'm going to max out the speakers on both of these. And this is copyright free music here. So y'all can hear and see the Wi-Fi performance and the speaker differences. So I'm going to just go ahead and do this quickly for y'all. And let's start off with the A2 Lite because it's the one that I randomly grabbed. So put this here, give y'all a nice crisp sample, bring it up close to the mic here. And we're going to go ahead and push play. Enjoy, guys and gals. And then I'm going to give y'all my opinions on the speakers when this Wi-Fi performance test is done. So here we go. Alright, let's go through the video now. Okay. Alright, now let's check the Google Pixel. Same rules apply. We're going to max out the volume. And we're going to go ahead and push play. Enjoy, guys and gals. Alright, let's go up through the video a little bit now. Okay, so there you guys and gals go. Real quick speaker performance test. Real quick Wi-Fi performance test. Now, how do I feel about the Wi-Fi and the speakers on both of these devices? Now, in terms of the Wi-Fi, I'm going to have to give the overall Wi-Fi performance the tie between either of these. Now, in terms of the speakers, again, this is an area where I'm going to have to give it a tie in overall media consumption performance. Both of these speakers, in my opinion, perform the same. I didn't hear any noticeable differences in clarity and volume. They sound very, very similar to me. Now, I am no professional in any way, shape, form, or fashion. This is just my opinion. Now, you guys may have heard something different. Let me know what you think down below in the comments. But at least when it comes to the overall media consumption and Wi-Fi performance, for the speakers and Wi-Fi performance, I'm going to call this one a tie. That being said, let's keep it moving now, and let's talk about the LTE and band coverage between both of these devices. Now, when we talk about the overall LTE and band coverage between both of these devices, this is where y'all gonna see a very big amount of similarities with one big difference. Now, let's start off with the A2 Lite, because that's where the biggest difference shows. The A2 Lite here is a GSM only device, so it will only work on GSM carriers abroad and GSM carriers in the States. So AT&T, T-Mobile, Cricket, Metro, so on and so forth. It will not work on GSM carriers like Sprint, not GSM. It will not work on CDMA carriers like Sprint and Verizon. Not going to do it. But GSM carriers, you should be good to go. And as long as your carriers have those supported bands that y'all see on the screen, you should be good to go in terms of coverage. So make sure you check that and you know what your carrier's bands are, so you know you get maximum coverage and performance. Alright, now, when we talk about the Google Pixel XL here, this comes in actually it's 4 different variants. And you have your US variant, which has all the bands for all your US carriers. So all the GSM bands, all the WCDMA bands, so on and so forth. Then you have your global variant, which has all the bands for all the GSM carriers and CDMA carriers globally. And then you have your European variant. Okay? Alright, now this particular variant y'all see in this video is a European variant, and the European variant only works on CDMA carriers in the States, and I am using this one with my Straight Talk Verizon SIM. As y'all can see right there, we are running on Straight Talk, which is a subsidiary of TracFone. So if y'all wondering why you see a TracFone and not a Straight Talk, that's why. It's a MVNO of TracFone. Okay, but this does work phenomenally on Straight Talk Verizon, and the A2 Lite works phenomenally on AT&T with Free Up Mobile or T-Mobile with Text Now. Okay, so either GSM carrier you decide to go with, you're not going to have any issues. All right, that being said, on paper, the Google Pixel XL has the better coverage, but in my experience with extended usage between both of these devices, I'm going to have to call it a tie in regards to the overall performance and LTE coverage between both of these. Now, in my experience, sure, having a globally unlocked device is better, because then I could do whatever I want with it and take it to whatever carrier I want. But particularly where I'm located, T-Mobile has the best data coverage, but they don't have the overall best cellular coverage. But AT&T and Verizon have the overall best cellular coverage in my area. So this combination of T-Mobile and AT&T actually puts this device on par with the overall data and overall coverage performance of this device. So that's why I would call it a tie. On paper, though, the Google Pixel XL is the better device. But you do your homework and you make sure you have the necessary bands, and either of these devices will serve you well. So at least when it comes to the LTE and band support, on paper, the Google Pixel wins. But in general performance, if you get the right combinations of SIMs, the A2 Lite will be just as good. So I'm going to call it a tie in my experience. Now, moving on. The next thing I want to talk about with you guys and gals is the overall Bluetooth on both of these devices and the overall Bluetooth performance. Now, Bluetooth-wise, both of these devices are running the same loadout in terms of the Bluetooth technology. So they're both packing Bluetooth 4.2 technology in both of these devices. Whoops, hit the wrong button there. All right. And in terms of the overall Bluetooth performance, I have to tell you guys and gals, I haven't had any issues in regards to the overall Bluetooth, and both of these devices, when we talk about the Bluetooth, perform pretty much the same. No issues whatsoever. Alright, so in regards to the overall Bluetooth performance, I'm going to have to call this area tied. Really good stuff. You guys know I'm very Bluetooth heavy, and I haven't had any issues with any of my Bluetooth accessories. Alright, now, moving on. The next thing I want to talk about with you guys and gals now is the overall GPS performance between these two devices. And this is yet another area that's very important to me because I am very, very GPS dependent when I use my devices. So having a device with a very reliable GPS is really, really important to me. And I'm very happy to report that the GPS on either of these devices is really, really good. It locks on within seconds, and anything that I had to do that takes advantage of the GPS works without issues. And you can see the overall lock was very quick, and we actually got a ton of satellites, and the overall lock on and accuracy was very, very good on either of these. Alright, so really, really good stuff in regards to the overall GPS. So we're going to call that a tie in that area right there. Now, moving on. The next thing I want to talk about with you guys and gals is how I feel about the call quality through the built-in receivers on both of these, and how I feel about the call quality through the onboard speakers, okay? Alright, so let's talk about call quality and speaker call quality on both of these. And this is where I felt that it was kind of strange. Now, talking about call quality through the onboard receivers, I actually found that the Google Pixel XL did a better job. Calls were more louder, crisper, and clearer through the onboard receiver than they were on the A2 Lite. In my experience with A2 Lite, the onboard receiver calls were a little bit more quieter than I would like. They were still clear, but I'm still missing a little bit of volume here. Whereas with the speakerphone calls on these devices, this is where I feel the A2 Lite did the better job. And we're talking about using these side by side. I felt like the speakerphone calls on the A2 Lite is just a little bit better than the speakerphone calls on the Google Pixel XL. Keep in mind, that's just in my opinion. So, in terms of onboard calls, the Pixel gets it. In terms of speaker calls, the A2 Lite gets it. Alright? So, they pretty much trade blow for blow there. WW. Alright. Now, moving on, the next thing I want to talk about now with you guys and gals is the cameras on both of these devices. Now, I've already done separate dedicated camera walkthrough videos, and I've taken a bunch of camera samples with either of these devices. I'll link up those videos in the cards, and I'll link them up down below in the video description for you guys and gals to check them out. But I'm going to talk to you guys and gals about my overall opinions with the cameras on either of these, okay? Now, these, again, are both capable of taking 4K video and doing 720p slow motion. You do have the slight advantage in the hardware of the cameras if you go with the Google Pixel XL, because you do more higher resolution 720p slow motion. You could do 1080p 60, 1080p 30, so on and so forth. That being said, breaking it down for you guys and keeping it 100. In regards to the overall photo performance with both of these cameras. Now, if you have optimal lighting for both of these cameras, you're going to be able to take some really good photos. That being said, if optimal lighting is not there, which phone do I feel does the better job in terms of the photos? I'm going to have to give the W in the photo department to the Google Pixel XL. Regardless of whatever time of the day you're trying to shoot, you're going to get a really good photo regardless, especially with the addition of the night mode in here. Really good stuff, really good quality you're able to get out of this. That being said, when we talk about the overall video performance, again, with optimal lighting, these can both take some really good video. So in optimal lighting, it's a tie. That being said, without optimal lighting, if you want to just grab a device and shoot a video, I feel like the video performance on the A2 Lite is just a little bit better than the overall video performance on the Google Pixel XL. I feel like the exposure tends to shift a lot on the Google Pixel XL, whereas you tend to get a more balanced image and better image in regards to the video on the A2 Lite. Okay, again, feel free to check out my separate independent camera videos where y'all will see exactly what I'm talking about. That being said, in regards to the overall audio performance while taking video, I have to say that both of these devices didn't do a good job. Now, they both take okay audio. Alright, so if I needed to, I can get a really good video with either of these devices. That being said, if you want some really good audio, you may definitely want to look into getting a dedicated mic if you're going to use either of these devices. That being said though, let's break that down again. In terms of the photos, the Google Pixel XL gets the win. In terms of the overall video performance, the A2 Lite gets the win in my experience and in my opinion. Now, let's keep it moving. Up next now, this will be where I talk about the overall gaming performance on both, but yet again, I did a separate dedicated gaming video on both of these. I'll go ahead and throw it up in the cards, and I'll link it down below in the video description for y'all to check out. But either of the processors and chipsets on either of these devices handled my style of games without issues. So I'm a very casual gamer. I don't really do too much 3D intensive games. The most intensive 3D game that I've played is probably Mortal Kombat X, and both of these devices handled gaming without issue. Now, they both tend to get a little bit warm with extended use, but the overall performance stays pretty good. Alright, so in terms of gaming, we're going to call these a tie. But again, if you want to see for yourself, check out the separate dedicated gaming performance videos that I've done on either of these. Alright, now we're going to briefly touch on benchmarks and we're going to keep it moving. Now, when we talk about benchmarks, these pretty much performed exactly where I was expecting it to. The Google Pixel XL with the old school flagship chip pretty much outperformed the A2 Lite with the entry level to mid-range chip in regards to the overall benchmark numbers. Now, I'm not going to show you guys. If you want to check out the independent benchmark stats, feel free to check out links to my full reviews on either of these devices, which will be linked up down below. But it was pretty much what I was expecting it to be. So in regards to these synthetic benchmarks, we're giving the win to the Google Pixel XL. But benchmarks nowadays mean absolutely nothing. What really matters is the overall combination of hardware and software, which should equate to an overall smooth and fluid user experience at the end of the day, which I'm very happy to report both these devices deliver. So it is what it is. Now let's move on to one of my more important parts of a device. Let's talk about the battery life and the overall charge times. Now, I'm not going to show y'all the numbers. Again, I'm just going to talk about my independent experiences. Now, if you want a more in-depth look, including the numbers for the battery life on each device, again, feel free to check out my full reviews on either of these devices, which will be linked up down below in the video description. That being said, when we talk about the overall charge times between both of these devices, okay, I'm going to have to give the win to the Google Pixel XL, not by much. On average, if I was charging to 100, the Google Pixel XL takes me anywhere from an hour and 50 minutes to 2 hours to reach a full charge. Now, if the device is completely dead, it's going to take a little bit over 2 hours to reach a full charge. Now, if you don't charge to full, then you're looking at anywhere from about an hour and a half to an hour and 50 minutes. Now, if you're not charging to full again, depending on the percentage that you charge to, then we're looking at about 45 to 55 minutes. If you're charging to, like, let's say 75%, if you're charging to, like, let's say 50%, then you're looking at about 30, maybe 45 minutes. Okay, and the Google Pixel XL does include rapid charging of some sort. Now I couldn't verify which one it has, but it does have it because I do get the indicator when I plug in the device, and I did check it with my Ampere charge app, and it is getting the quick charging speeds that I'm looking for. Again, I go over what numbers your device needs to hit, in my opinion, to be considered to have quick charge in the full reviews on either of these devices. So, hour and 50 minutes to 2 hours to reach a full charge over here. Now, talking about the A2 Lite in regards to the charge times, this is where I would say it'd have to be a little bit similar, but a little bit slower. Now, on average, it takes the A2 Lite about an hour and 50 minutes to 2.5 hours to reach a full charge from zero. Now, if you're not charging from zero, then it's going to take you a little bit over 2 hours yet again. Now, I know what y'all saying. This should take longer because it has the bigger battery. Now, with my experience with extended usage, y'all can see right there on the video that the battery has degraded on the A2 Lite with my extended usage. So y'all can see the battery sizes are actually very similar now between the A2 Lite and the Google Pixel XL. It is what it is. This is what happens to your batteries after extended usage. They do degrade and get worse over time, and eventually you will have to swap your batteries out or take them to the phone repair shop to get a battery swap, and then you'll be back up to 100. But as of the recording of this video, the overall charge times and battery life between these two devices are very similar. Now, talking about the overall battery life between these two devices. One thing I want to preface before I give y'all my numbers is that I am an extremely heavy user, and anything that I can do for my smartphone, I will do for my smartphone. And the results that I'm getting ready to talk about with you guys do reflect that. So on average, with my style of usage, I'm easily able to get through the day with light to moderate usage on either of these. Okay? With heavy usage, I'm averaging anywhere between about 5.5 to 7.5 hours on either of these. Now, if I want to stretch the devices and really push them down to single-digit percentages left, then I'm getting anywhere from about 7.5 hours to 8.5 hours on the Google Pixel XL, and I'm getting anywhere from about 7.5 hours to 10 hours on the A2 Lite. So in regards to the overall battery life, the battery life is better on the A2 Lite. Okay? And I have to equate that to two things. The lower resolution display, 1080p, which means you're pulling less power, and the bigger battery. So the bigger battery and the lower resolution display complement each other really well on this device. But I am really surprised to see that I was able to get some okay battery life on the Google Pixel XL. 8.5 hours, that's okay. Is it the best? No. Would I have loved to see better? Yes. In my opinion, devices today should really be averaging anywhere from about 9 hours of screen on time to about 10 hours of screen on time. In my opinion, that's considered to be really good battery life. Because then that means that I can go through a full day with my style of usage and not have to worry about plugging in the device. Whereas if it doesn't get that, then I do have to plug in an additional time. So in regards to the overall battery life, I'm going to have to give the win to the A2 Lite. Okay? Keep in mind, these are just my particular results, and your guys' results may vary. Okay, we've done it, y'all. We've made it to the end of this versus/comparison video. And now what I want to do for you guys and gals is I just want to talk about the price of these two devices and give y'all my overall recommendation or two. Okay? Now, talking about the price between these two devices, for the A2 Lite here, I actually picked it up from Amazon and at checkout it ran me $205, okay? Whereas for the Google Pixel XL here, the first generation, I actually picked this up from a really good friend of mine, your boy Ultra Tech, and I got it for $190, and y'all can see it's still in pristine condition, as I said in the review, and the battery health is still 100%. So really, really good stuff there, and thank you once again, bro, for giving me that really good deal, and I really enjoy this device. That being said, right now today, you guys and gals can pick up these devices in the maximum configurations for these prices you see here. So for the Google Pixel XL, because of the age of the device, you're really only going to find it in used or used like new condition. So for that, I would say that this price is really, really good. So you can find the Google Pixel XL in the max storage configuration for $170, okay? Whereas you can find the A2 Lite in the max storage configuration for $175, okay? So, in my opinion, if we're just talking about price to performance, you know, which one would I recommend? I would say if you have the money, but you only want one, I would say go with the A2 Lite. I feel like you get a more overall better package with the A2 Lite, with the bigger battery, the micro SD card expansion. You're getting a really, really good device. And I think in terms of value, it just outweighs the value of the Google Pixel XL. That being said, if you want a device with a really good display and some really good cameras, and you want to stay up to date to the month for security patches, then I could recommend the Google Pixel XL, no problem, okay? Now, if you don't like big displays, you can actually get the regular Google Pixel for a lot cheaper than this. So that's gonna run you about $145 to $150. But if you're a fan of big displays and you're looking at the XL or you're looking at the displays between either of these, then if you want that better camera for photos, then I can easily recommend the Google Pixel XL. Can't beat that pricing. Okay? Now, that being said, that pretty much brings an end to this video. I hope you guys and gals enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy the video, please help your boy out and give the video a thumbs up. That really does help me out. You don't know how much. If you want to see more content like this, please feel free to hit the subscribe button down below and click off the notification bell icon right next to it so you guys and gals get notified when I publish new videos. That being said, this whole video was recorded using the rear-facing 12 megapixel camera on the Samsung Galaxy S8 in 720p resolution at 30 frames per second. So please let me know what you think of the overall video quality down below in the comments. All the audio for this video was recorded using the Boya BY-MM1 microphone. So please also let me know what you think of the overall audio quality down below in the comments as well. That being said, I hope everyone has a great day. And remember, if this video piqued your interest, down below in the video description should be like a one-stop shop for you guys and gals, and you should be good to go to find either of these devices at some really great prices. Alright, hope everyone has a great day, and I will catch you guys and gals in my next video. Peace, everyone.